Yeah, it's not. I'm live, but it's like being annoying. I click go live, but it's not showing me the chat. It didn't give me any of the options that it used to give me before. I have no idea if it's working or not. Come on!
I got an ad, so usually that means you're live. Yeah, you're good.
We're good?
You're good. Yeah.
All right. It's definitely not the same browser that I'm seeing as like usually like my chat's on the right. But as long as it's working, that's all I really care about.
Yep, can confirm.
Yeah, I also can confirm.
They maybe just had like an update. Hey guys, what's going on?
What's up, everyone? Sorry, guys, just a little complications to start the stream here, but I think we got it going. You're here. We're good. All right. I was going to say, we've gone this long without any complications so far, so I think we're doing pretty good.
Big 10 gamer tonight, boys.
Yeah, fat one tonight.
Huberto or Zegras for a keeper league? Probably Huberto.
Yeah.
I don't think Zegras has proven anything yet.
Can I separate the chat here? Pop up chat. What's that do? Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So clearly we have some news today about the hat-trick predictions that we'll get to at the end of the stream. We'll let some people roll in here, but Eichel or Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, definitely Eichel. Eichel's a pretty big buy low right now, and you guys are going to see it in my video. It's coming out tonight. A lot of people are selling Eichel. I don't really know why, to be honest. All right. So, did you play last night?
I did play last night.
How'd you do?
And it was okay. I only had one lineup get that cashed, but it made me some of my money back. The other two, obviously, like the Leafs lineup I took busted. I took them with Anaheim, the Steele, Zegras line. And, I mean, Steele had a good game. He 3 shots on goal, assists. Like, when you're paying, almost min price per player, I consider that a win.
Yeah.
It's just that Matthews was 50% owned, obviously, and he busted. I just thought that it was going to be more of a high-event game. Typically, we see Leafs-Calgary games are relatively exciting. And then I had Grubauer in net, so that didn't help either.
Yeah, I'm not paying up for goalies anymore. When I was looking into that matchup yesterday, Colorado has the least shot attempts against. They don't give up any shots. So I figured there's no way I could take an 8,500 goalie in a matchup where he's just not going to face any shots. So, but what a lopsided game. I was watching and got to give Minnesota credit. I can easily just say that that Colorado played bad, but I don't think we're giving Minnesota any credit because Eriksson Ek was shutting down McKinnon, and it was pretty crazy for me to see. He looked great, but I had the perfect value stack with them: Kreider, Blackwell, Strome, with Shesterkin and net. They had 80 points combined, and I had Colorado 1, Makar, and Bjornfot left, and they just all busted. Every single one of them busted yesterday. So, it was so promising at some point. I was in 100th, I think, and I still had Colorado 1 and Makar left, and I'm sitting pretty good right now. But that's fine. All right, so let's...
Big slates.
You timed out Wolf?
Yeah, I'll tell you about it later.
Okay. What's up? I'm not a DK league, but I like your stats, input, and channel. Appreciate it. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of feedback on that where I don't think a lot of our viewers in here play DraftKings, but people love seeing the sheet and who's on the power play and our analysis on the matchups and stuff. So I feel like that's important. But let's jump into it. So first game of the night, Calgary, Ottawa. This is going to be an interesting one. So Riddick's on a back-to-back tonight. We don't know if he's starting. I'm going to pull up the Calgary name or the Calgary backup, and bear with me. So it's Artyom Zagadulin. So he has a 890 save percentage in the KHL last season with a 4 goals against average. He hasn't played pro hockey yet this season, so I'm gonna assume that Rittich is starting, and I think it's a really good matchup for the Ottawa side here. I'm a little bit off Calgary, to be honest. I think they're gonna be too high owned for the matchup, and I think Ottawa's been getting it done 5-on-5 besides this third line. So I'm definitely more inclined on the Ottawa side here. I like the top line quite a bit tonight. Going against this Tkachuk line that's been struggling 5-on-5 defensively. They've been giving up a ton of chances. It's going to be a good matchup for Brady against Matt, but I'm on the Brady side tonight. I know like Rittich had 2 pretty big outlier performances, and I'm sure you can speak to that as a Leafs fan, but I think in a back-to-back, it's going to be too hard for them to generate an offense. I think that Rittich like I'm still inclined to play Ottawa against Rittich, but if the backup goalie's playing, I'm way more inclined to take Ottawa. And I think line 2 on Ottawa is also a pretty good look tonight. They have really strong 5-on-5 numbers. They're extremely cheap. There's a lot of pay-up options tonight, and this is a pretty solid filler stack. You see Dadonov still at 3,500 power play 1. So have interest in Ottawa 1 and 2 from this game. On the defensive side, I think you can easily pair Shabbat with your Ottawa lines. That's fine. Calgary is pretty bad defensively, especially with Markstrom out, who's been like their saving grace. So they're a lot worse offensively than I thought. But Calgary's taking a lot of penalties, 3.6 per game. Ottawa's going to have a lot of opportunity on the power play that's been struggling this season. But, I mean, give a team 5 power plays, I think they're going to capitalize on 1.
Unfortunately for all you Sens fans, Big Save Dave is back in goal tonight. So no backup there for Calgary.
No,
unfortunately, which would have been nice because I think Ottawa would have been just a really good play, especially the first line there with Brady. But it's a good matchup for Calgary. The only thing is that you're in a back-to-back. Rasmus Anderson gets the nod on power play 1, so that's good that it's been a little bit more consistent in that end. 5,100, I still think it's an okay price. I'm not too excited about him. I'd rather get to some other higher end D on the slate personally. But I don't think Rittich is a bad price for 8K. He's going against Ottawa. He's going to see a bunch of shots from them, as well as just the top 6 has kind of been meh. I know you like the first line there with Mangiapane. He's looked great. He looked great in the game against Toronto the past 2 games as well. So always just seems to find good shot opportunities. So I think if you're going somewhere tonight with Calgary, I think it's the first line there. Even though you don't get 2 guys on power play 1, I just think with the Tkachuk and Mangiapane shot volume against a team like Ottawa, it's a better look than the kind of underwhelming Gaudreau-Monahan combination.
Yeah, they've been like weird this year. I feel like they're heavily reliant on scoring on the power play, and that's what we've seen in the past with Gaudreau. But yeah, they've been pretty meh. But you can see here Ottawa attempting a ton of shots, so Rittich's going to have he's probably in line for the the save bonus tonight. But Ottawa's lining up a ton of shots as well. So if you want to go on the Calgary side, you could definitely expect Matt Tkachuk to be all over the shot volume tonight. All right, so next game. This is an interesting one, and we talked a lot about this game before the slate. So it looks like Columbus gives up the most shot attempts against. And this is a Chicago line that has 2 pretty high volume shooters in Kane and DeBrincat. I think it's a pretty favorable matchup for them tonight. We did some digging. It looks like they're playing against the Seth Jones D pairing, Jones and Werenski, who have actually been kind of underwhelming 5-on-5. So I think it's a pretty good look tonight for Chicago 1. Korpisalo's been pretty weak. We were trying to look into line matching to see like who plays against each other, and I mean you can speak to it, but it seems like Columbus just rolls their lines. So whoever, like, they're not gonna like put Foligno against Pius Suter. They'll put Roslovic against them. They'll put Texier against them. So Torts kind of plays that style where he just likes to play everyone against opposing teams' top lines, and he's not really afraid of it. So kind of respect it from Torts, but I think it's a good thing for Chicago here. The only downside in this game is that both teams don't take penalties at all. But last game, I think we saw like 12 penalties between the 2 teams, which is kind of crazy because as we were talking about it, we're like, Chicago takes the 3rd least penalties and Columbus takes the 2nd least penalties. Then you see a 12 penalty game. So maybe it's a little bit of an outlier game, but I think Chicago can get it done here tonight. I think the first line's a good look. I think Boquist is fine at 2,900 power play 1. He did score last game, so his ownership's going to be crazy tonight, but still a good look. Calvin DeHaan, always in line for the shot block bonus. He's a guy that just eats pucks. I think he's second or third in the league for blocks behind Alec Martinez and Adam Larson. So definitely like DeHaan tonight at that price. On the Columbus side, the only line I'm going to be taking tonight is Columbus 1. I really, really like that Bjorkstrand's there. I did some digging. It looks like Foligno Bjorkstrand lines are very, very strong 5-on-5. And I don't know if I still have the numbers up here, but when I looked, they have 20 goals for and 4 against when they're skating 5-on-5 together, Foligno and Bjorkstrand. So Torts finally woke up, put their best player on the first line. But if I'm going anywhere tonight, Columbus 1. I think you're fine going with Seth Jones, and Korpisalo is a 10-foot pole for me tonight.
Yeah, I'm not confident in either of the goalies tonight, especially seeing Malcolm Subban in net for Chicago.
Yeah.
This was a barn burner, actually, last game. 6-5 final for Chicago. Lining with a couple power play goals, and Bjorkstrand with a couple goals as well. It actually went to a shootout, excuse me. But I really like that Columbus first line if that's going to stay together. Again, we never know with Torts, right? Like this could just be from based off of last game or today's morning slate, and he might just have a completely different line scheme for the start of the game. You just never know with this guy. But again, I think if you're going anywhere with Columbus, it's a power play one stack. You can throw Laine and Foligno together, and even one-offing Bjorkstrand, even if that line doesn't stay together, for example, you're still okay there because Bjorkstrand did have a nice power play goal there, and he is a high volume shooter, so I think he's a good one-off regardless. So I think that first line, even if they, for whatever reason, they don't stay together, you're still pretty safe taking them. But on the Chicago side, I really like Chicago 1 here. We do see Werenski come back into the lineup, and I believe when we were looking at the matchups, it was Chicago's first line against Jones and Gavrikov for about 80% of the game. So that's just something to keep an eye on because it's more than likely that Werenski's going to slide in and pair with Jones there, and they're known for being pretty competent defensively, especially as a pair. But I still like Chicago 1. Like Mike said, DeBrincat and Kane have just been shooting the puck a ton. They're both power play 1 correlated. They're both kind of priced up, which sucks, but I think it's warranted just based off of last game and the success that they've been seeing as of late. So I'm okay going back to Chicago again tonight, especially looking into that matchup that we saw. Jones Gavrikov was average at best, I believe you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even with just the fact that Korpisalo has been bad, gives me some inclines to take Chicago 1 here. And then on the defensive side, Boquist for 2,900, power play 1. You can't go wrong. That's a pretty good punt D. And I love me some Calvin DeHaan for 3,400.
Yeah.
Absolute block machine.
For sure. Yeah, and just something to note here. So the Jones-Werenski pairing is actually like their best. To know, not really any surprise to anyone, but just keep in mind here that both goalies are going to see a lot of volume tonight. And that's something that you want to do in DraftKings, especially. And you saw it last night with your example with Grubauer, where he only faced like 20 shots last night and had 3 goals or whatever, 5 goals against, which is an outlier. But assuming he only had 3 goals against, like he's not paying off any value at all. So, I mean, if you wanted to punt a goaltender at a cheap price, Subban's going to see a bunch of volume tonight. So you're kind of just hoping for 35 saves and 3 goals against at 7,100 to pay off some value for you there. So just wanted to mention that quickly.
Sure.
All right, so Dallas, Florida. It's so funny because like I'm writing up my video for the buy low, sell high right now, and Huberdeau's going to be on it for Florida as a sell high. And I really speak to how Florida I still think is a fluky team, but man, we've seen some crazy shot volume from this team against Dallas the last 2 games. 49 saves for Hudobin, and then what was it, 39 last night? Something crazy, but
over. Yeah. 39, close to 40.
Yeah, so Florida has just been shooting the puck like crazy. Dallas just hasn't been getting it done, and I really want to emphasize that Pavelski was a sell high a couple weeks ago. He's definitely come back down to life from his 48% shooting percentage and like 8 power play goals. But no love for me from the Dallas side tonight. They don't project well for us. Most players are overpriced, especially Pavelski in that top line, 6,700. I still think it's an overpay. Defensive side, there's just nothing I like from Dallas. Like, I think I'm fine fading this team. And then going over to the Florida side, I definitely have some interest tonight. Dallas is taking a lot of penalties this year. They're allowing some like decent amount of shot attempts. I think Florida has been shooting the puck a lot. And Hudobin's bailed them out, but now you get Jake Ottinger in net, a goalie who hasn't really proved much in his career, going against a Florida team that's 15-2 for the first line, and they've been their best line. Like Barkov's under 7K tonight. You have two guys on the second power play unit. Barkov's on the top. I think you're fine if you wanted to do Barkov, Huberdeau, Hornquist, 3-man, just because Dallas is almost at 4 penalties a game right now. And if you're getting the team that has a 27% power play that's getting 4 opportunities, like they're going to score. So definitely have some love for Florida tonight for the first time all year from me. Defensive side, I think you're fine going with Yandel. I probably wouldn't touch Ekblad. I just think with Yandel, you're very reliant on the power play points. So if you're going to do a Barkov, Huberdeau, Hornquist stack, you're fine to take Yandel there. And you can even do Barkov, Huberdeau, Yandel 3-man if you wanted to as well. Anton Strollman, power play 2. He gets about a 30% share on the power play. So, assuming power play 1's not clicking, he could be in line for a potential assist or a few good opportunities if Dallas is giving them 4 or 5 power plays tonight. Sergei Bobrovsky, never, ever, ever, no thank you. Dallas just doesn't shoot the puck enough, and Bobrovsky hasn't saved the puck enough for me to like him tonight.
Yeah, that's kind of the only thing that you're happy to see if you're looking to take some Dallas tonight. Bobrovsky has not been good at all this season, and Dallas has seen some success on the power play. The one thing I will mention, though, is Miro Heiskanen does move up to power play 1. So him and Klingberg are both getting power play 1 time, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a bad price for Heiskanen at 4,200 if he's getting power play 1 time and playing over 22 minutes. He just doesn't usually see the peripherals that you would want to see out of an elite defenseman. But again, you're not paying 6K for him, so I don't think that's a bad spot. Outside of that, the Dallas lines just don't really excite me. Like there really isn't a lot of upside. Like I look at the Ben Faska Gurianov line, like no Rupe Hintz tonight. So, I'd probably go with the second line if you're taking any Dallas, just because of the power play 1 correlation there with Gurianov and Ben. But outside of that, I'm not too interested in Dallas at all. But Florida's been surprisingly good this season, and Mike is still convinced that they're a fluke, but they keep proving us wrong for whatever reason. Like, again, like I'm probably completely off Bobrovsky tonight. I don't think he's even worth touching, just until, again, he shows me something consistent. I'm really not excited to take him. Ekblad has been surprisingly good, though, and he's been producing at a much higher rate than we've seen in the past. And his shot volume is pretty consistent as well, seeing usually over 3 shots a game. So I don't mind him for that price, especially if they get a couple power plays and he just manages to snag up a couple assists there.
Yeah, definitely doable.
But I really like Florida's first line. Barkov's just been shooting a ton. I think Duclair had 4 shots last game. They absolutely peppered Dallas. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this game. But I think you're good with the first line just because they're a little bit cheaper. And I still don't like Hornquist for over 6K. I think that's a little bit of an overprice.
Yeah, me too. Him or Pavelski, though. I'm going Hornquist probably. Just going to answer a few things in chat. We should start putting respect on the mini name. Yeah, they're really good. Like, they're fun to watch. Like, that Eriksson Ek, like, he is a very, very good defensive forward that gets zero credit in this league. Tkachuk versus Tkachuk fight tonight. Yeah, that's pretty probable.
Who's got the Pims League going right now?
I know. I forget his name that was in the Pims League, but pick 2 to keep. Kemper, Jerry, Lankinen. Oh, God. Kemper and Jerry for me. I think Lankinen's going to actually fall off a bit. Points league, Zook, Kopp, Myers for Yossi and Stevenson. Yossi and Stevenson side for me quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
He's by far the best player. Like, I think Zook, Kopp, Myers, and Stevenson all were free agents at the start of the year for most people anyways. Shendog with the best bets. Shenye, I was thinking today, like, I think taking Pettersson to score tonight is doable. I think taking that Pettersson, Miller, and Besser line, like taking any of them to get a point or to score tonight is definitely probable. And we'll get into that. What's up, Willis? What's up, Christopher? What's going on, guys? Not a fan of Bob, eh? No, I hate Bob. Bob's like, I don't even want to get it. Don't get me started, Justin. Pardon? Yeah.
He's just been bad.
Yeah. Just don't get me started with Bob. Like, he is so bad. He has one of the worst save percentages and unblocked shots and the highest rebound rate in the league. It's crazy. So, yeah, Subban starting. Oh, 41. Welcome. I feel like this is the first time you've tuned into the stream, 41. Falk or Fox or Dumba, points only. Fox and then Falk and then Dumba for me. If it's points only, like just like goals and assists. Uyghur or Brodin? Brodin for me. I like Brodin a lot. Could you predict the scores? I can't predict anything. If I can predict the scores, Justin.
If I had a crystal ball.
Yeah, I wouldn't be doing this every day. I'd be making some money living in Vegas. All right. So Carolina, Tampa. Just a quick note here. Tampa did shake their lines up quite a bit last game. Looks like Coleman's on the top line tonight with Palat and Point. Stammer moves down with Johnson and Killorn. And then Matthew Joseph on the third line on the shutdown line with Gordon Gaudreau. So Tampa's been going through a little bit of a lull period right now. And is it John Cooper, their coach? Yes, right? Yeah, so it looks like Cooper, switched everything up, and I respect it. So Carolina tonight have some interest in their top line, not too much. I just think it's a really tough matchup against Tampa all the time. But something important to note here is that Tampa is taking a lot of penalties, and McElhinney's starting tonight, and he's a very below average goaltender. So I think if you want to go anywhere tonight, I would actually go to Carolina 2. They're one of our favorite lines. Assuming I think you're going to put in here now that they're paired against Tampa 2 tonight, who is their worst defensive line. Johnson Killorn lines have been brutal this year. So I think it's a favorable matchup for line 2. You got all 3 of them on the power play, 2 of them on power play 2. And Carolina actually splits their power play up a lot more than other teams. So they're about a 60-40 split between power play 1 and power play 2. And that's important to note too, because, you got Nichas and Niederreiter that are going to see, assume they have 8 minutes in the power play. They're going to see at least 3 minutes of that 8. So I definitely like Carolina 2 the most tonight. They're getting it done for me 5-on-5. I think defensively here, there's not too much to love. You're fine going with Slavin. It's just Tampa limits so many opportunities. So it's kind of hard for me to justify taking some of these defensemen. But James Reimer in net tonight, not too much love from him. Tampa just doesn't shoot enough for me. And they're a team that can easily score 4 or 5 goals on you. So not too much love from Reimer. On the Tampa side, definitely have some interest in Tampa 1 tonight, but I do think it's a difficult matchup against the Svechnikov-Aho combo, who have been really good dating back to last season. But Coleman adds I'm nothing against Stamkos, but Coleman adds like a really high shot volume, high Corsi player to a line that has 2 pretty solid forwards on it. So I think you're fine going with Tampa 1 here at a pretty cheap price, to be honest. And Reimer's been struggling. I know you like to talk about that, but don't mind Tampa 1 at all tonight. That's the only line I'm interested in from there. Defensive side, Cernak is the only defenseman that I want to play tonight. I just think that Carolina doesn't take enough penalties for me to be on Hedman at 6,600, where he's heavily reliant on power play points. So just Cernak for me on defense tonight on the Tampa side.
Yeah, I'm not too interested in either of these goalies again. I feel like I've said that like 3 times already in this slate. We've seen this matchup kind of go either way, and it's never like a close game. It's usually lopsided. We saw Tampa get the 3-0 win the last game, and then I'm pretty sure Carolina. Oh no, it was a 4-2 win for Tampa again. So, it seems like the Tampa line shift has definitely woken this team up. But I think if you're looking at the Carolina side, you're still kind of happy seeing Curtis McElhinney in net. Trocheck line is my go-to usually for Carolina. They've just been so good this season, and they do see, if you can look it up quick, Mike, the numbers on McDonough and Cernak.
Sure. Yeah.
Actually, they're pretty split between them and Hedman. So I just off the top of my head, I'm assuming Hedman's a really tough matchup.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see, just because, like Mike said, Tampa's been taking some penalties as of late, and that's always a good opportunity for Carolina to see some success there. Even with the first line going against Tampa's first line, I think Svech and Aho are just extremely good 5-on-5, and they get that power play 1 correlation, so that's also a good spot. Really, the only thing I don't like about that line is that you get Brock McGinn for 4K.
Yeah.
I'd rather go with line 2, where you're getting somebody like Trocheck that's seeing power play 1 time, and then 2 competent wingers in Niederreiter and Nichas. So I think if I'm going anywhere with Carolina tonight, it's Carolina 2. And then for the defensive side, Dougie at 6,500, I think that's a good price. I like him a lot more than Hedman.
Yeah.
Just even being $100 cheaper, I think that just his shot volume and block volume is a lot higher than Hedman's. Like Mike said, Hedman is very reliant on power play points, so definitely something to just look out for. You always want like a higher floor defenseman if you're paying 6K or above for them. So Dougie's always a great spot. And then Jake Bean at 2,600, I don't think that's a bad punt D. He has actually shown, it wasn't last game, but the game before, he had 7 shots on goal. And if he's getting power play 2 time as well, he's also had 3 assists in his last 4 games. So I think that's a pretty good punt option. The only thing you really have to be careful of is his minutes. He rarely ever sees anything above 15 minutes. So that's the only thing you're kind of worried about. But for 2,600, I think that's a good price. And then on the Tampa side, I think it's Tampa 1 for me. You get Blake Coleman, who we know is a high-volume shooter, and then Point Palat, that power play correlation as well. I think it's just a better option than taking the second line that has shown that they haven't been good at all, especially the Killorn-Johnson combination. Even though Stamkos is there, it's tough for me to get to. But I do like the third line for Tampa usually, so I'll definitely use them as a filler. But I think we have potentially a couple better filler options later in the slate tonight that we'll touch on for sure.
We do. Who is the real Montreal? First 10 games or last 10 games? Somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle probably, but I still think they're above average. Like I still think they're going to make the playoffs this year. They have a really good team. They're built really well. But yeah, they've been struggling, but fatigue plays a role too, and I think we're starting to see that a little bit with Toronto as well. Which 2 centers should I start tonight? Bergie, Eichel, or Dubois? Bergeron. You have to start Eichel every night.
Yeah.
Bench 1, Besser, Miller, Brady to Chuck. What's your league like, Emilio? Because in my shots and hits league, Brady is the 7th best player in the league. But if you were to choose between Besser and Miller, I would probably say Besser just because he shoots more and he's more likely to score. If I were to actually choose one. Who should I start? Richie, Heischer, or Roslovich? Richie for me. Eichel, Bergie. Nice to find this channel. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Raybo. Appreciate it. I think Willis asked thoughts on Blackwood tonight. Yeah, we'll get to Blackwood, Willis, as the games go on. If you guys hear me giving Willis attitude, it's because he's a really close real-life friend. I've heard that Eichel has been playing lazy this year, not energized. Yeah, you have to start Eichel. All right, let's move on. So this is a game that I'm really interested in. Penguins and Washington. So Penguins had a good outing last night. I tried to look into the line matching. It showed me that the Gensel, Crosby, Kapanen line was going against Washington 4. And that interests me if that's the case. So definitely on Pittsburgh 1 tonight. I like they have 2 guys on the power play. Washington's taking a decent amount of penalties. Their penalty kill's been struggling. And Washington's given up one of the highest shot attempts per game. And that's something you really want to pick against because, that just justifies the floor for majority of these Pittsburgh players on the top line, especially. So yeah, have a lot of interest in Pittsburgh 1 tonight. Have some interest in Pittsburgh 2, but Zucker is day-to-day right now. So we have no idea what's going to happen with him. I'm not sure if Zucker's out that they're going to move Rust up, which would definitely interest me more. But all over Pittsburgh 1 tonight. I think they're in a really good spot. They're priced very favorably. And Vanacek has just been bad. So they're definitely trying to get Samsonov back as fast as they can, hoping that he can fill that void on their netminder. But have some love for Pittsburgh 1 tonight. Defensive side, so Letang is also day-to-day, which I hate because he's always day-to-day, and I have him in one of my leagues. But keep an eye out for Letang tonight. If he doesn't play, POJ or Marino step up, and they're really cheap tonight in a very favorable matchup for them. So don't mind that. Mike Matheson, always a good defenseman. He is the next defenseman that we're not going to see under 4K now because he's been pretty good. So me and Devils definitely took advantage of that. I know he can probably speak to it, but we both are Matheson guys. Tristan Jarry tonight, he's been pretty hot. And I'm not going to say the same quote that I've said the last 10 times, but assuming he's starting tonight, I think 7,800 is a pretty good price. Washington shoots the puck, but Pittsburgh doesn't give up many shot attempts. And that kind of caught me by surprise because they've been pretty bad this year. The first 10 games at least, but they've definitely cleaned it up. So Tristan Jarry's fine. I just don't think he's going to see the volume that we're looking for. On the Washington side tonight, not too much love for me at all, to be honest. I just feel like a lot of their luck comes on the power play, and because there's so much split up here, you can see Ovi on the first line, Verhund on the second line, and then Backstrom Oshie on the third line for the power play. It's just too spread out for me. The matchups aren't there. Line one's going against the Bluger, Aston Reese Tanev line, who's been Pittsburgh's shutdown line for 2 years, and they've been phenomenal. So just a tough matchup here for the top line. I think if I go anywhere tonight, it's going to be line 3. I really like Richard Panik, actually, as an expected goals guy, surprisingly. And then the Backstrom Oshie pairing's fine for me. John Carlson, 6,800. He's good. Like, Penguins have struggled on their penalty kills, so I think it's likely that he gets a point in the power play or a goal. And then Dmitry Orlov, if you need to punt at 2,500, it's fine, but he's definitely taken a step back this year from last year. He was pretty good last year. And then Vitek Vanacek, no thank you at all. He's going to see volume, but I don't think it's going to be good volume.
Yeah, Justin, if you need to pick up a goalie, Halak is starting tonight for Boston.
Is it Halak?
So that would be a good one. Yep.
Okay.
Just off the top of my head there, but yeah, we saw Orlov up at around like 4K last year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he was good.
He was pretty solid. But no Vanacek for me tonight. I'm kind of off Washington altogether as well, even though I do like the third line. They're just expensive. I don't think it's really worth taking Backstrom Oshie, and you don't really get like a high shot volume person is there as well. I don't know how Panik is, but Mike likes him, so he's got to be good with expected goals then. But I think last time I took Pittsburgh, I did a power play 1 stack, and I took Rust over Gensel. Gensel ended up having 2 points.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Rust had a donut. So just my luck in DraftKings so far. But I think you're good with either of the 2 lines. I think Malkin has just shown that he's playing a lot better in the past couple games as well. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on if he starts heating up. Just being on that top power play, like even though Rust had like a donut last game, I still think he's slightly overpriced at 6,900, but I still think that he's a guy that has seen some success on the power play and at 5-on-5, so I don't think that's a bad option as well. And then Letang on Daily Faceoff is in for me tonight. I don't know if he's actually day-to-day or if Daily Faceoff just hasn't updated, but he's looking like he's going power play 1, so I think he's a good option. I tried to take advantage of him when he was around 5K, and it didn't end up paying off. Just his shot volume was pretty average, and I still think he's okay for 5,700 if he's playing over 23 minutes a game. And the Pens will definitely see some power play time tonight, so I don't think he's a bad option for 5,700. Jari might actually be a play for me tonight, and I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. But he has been good as of late, especially going up against Washington, where he will he won't see as much volume as you'd expect, just because the Pens do a good job at limiting shots. But I think for 7,800, I think that's a pretty good price, especially correlating them with your Penguins stacks.
Yeah, so it looks like we have some line changes in Chaboy. Said it in chat here. And I'm just going to tell you guys again, like, I say it every time, but we set the lines the night before, and then morning skate happens at 12, like right before our stream. So there are line changes, but I love that you guys are in the chat to help us out a little bit, make us seem a little bit more credible. But you guys know the credentials joke going on right now. But looks like we have Ovi Kuz Shiri, which is just horrific defensively. Any Ovi Kuz lines are just an absolute nightmare defensively, to no surprise. So we do definitely got some new lines, but it doesn't really change much for me at all. All right, moving on. We got Boston Islanders. Before we get into this game, we have 50 people watching, 15 likes. Hit that like button, guys. It just shows us that, you know, you guys like the content, and it's a little way to keep us motivated and keep going every day to be doing these streams. It's pretty lengthy to do them, but we enjoy it. We enjoy helping you guys out, and, you know, hopefully getting you guys some wins in your fantasy leagues. That's the biggest thing for us. All right, so Boston won tonight. I looked it up. They are going against the Wallstrom Pajot. I don't want to pronounce his name, but Cesarnik is what I'm going to say. So they're going against that line. I think JG Pajot is a solid defensive forward, but I mean, this Boston line is unmatchable. The perfection line. They're so good 5-on-5. They're so good on the power play. But I think it is kind of a bad matchup tonight against the Islanders, who don't really take penalties. But I mean, you can never go wrong with Boston 1. I just think that the $25K price tag, they are really expensive, and I think I would rather have them in a better matchup if I'm going to pay up that much for them tonight, because there's only a few lines you can really take them with, and it's going to be pretty heavy depth on most teams. Jersey does have a lot of good value, but I just think that you're going to have to, you handcuff yourself too much at that price tag. But their ownership's always low. They always have a chance to be the best stack of the night just because of their upside, their awesome correlation. So I'm doing cash tonight, so I won't be on Boston, but they're definitely a good line every night. So don't hesitate to take them if you're able to. If you compare them with a line that you're happy taking, don't hesitate. Defensive side, McAvoy is priced up quite a bit for me tonight, 6,100. He's a guy that just in his career hasn't shot or blocked enough to where I'm kind of satisfied taking him at that price. Halak 8K is fine, but Boston doesn't really give up a lot of shots, and the Islanders don't shoot too much. But I do think Halak's fine. There's a really low total in this game. It's a 5 total, which is really, really low. And I think the Boston-Philly outdoor game had a 5 total, and it was 7-3. So doesn't really mean too much. On the Islanders side, I know you're going to be upset, but Islanders 1 are on the slate tonight, Clarky, and that means I do have some interest in them. They're just a really strong 5-on-5 line. It looked like they paired against Boston 4 last game, which was really, really weird for me. But if they're avoiding this Boston top line, I do think that it's sort of favorable for them, because anyone going against that top line is just a disaster. But don't mind Islanders 1 tonight. Defensive side, not too much love for anyone. You can take Scott Mayfield as a one-off. He's a guy that blocks a ton. I think Dobson's minutes are too low for me to take him, although he is power play 1. And then Varlamov is good. Boston does shoot quite a bit, and that's kind of what you're looking for. So I don't mind Varlamov, but just be careful because Boston could easily blow up for 5 or 6 goals tonight.
Yeah, Raybo, if you have any questions or anything, make sure you jump into our Discord, especially if you're a new fantasy player. We'll be more than happy to help you guys out if you guys have any questions for sure. But on this Boston Islanders game, and I know this is the game that's going to kill me tonight, but I can't get on the Islanders 1 at all. It's a tough matchup against Boston for me. Every time I take them, they're never the nut stack. I never see a full line goal for them anymore. In my opinion, I can't justify taking them, even though they have really good expected goals for and against. It's just, I think there's just better looks on the slate and better places to go to in a tough matchup against the Bruins. But I think there is justification for taking Boston 1, even though that they're priced up. And my reasoning for it is because there's some pretty good cheap filler stacks that, like I said, we'll get to a little bit later that I think would justify being able to take like a third line that's really inexpensive and still pay up for good D. So I think that's definitely a good option if you take Boston. And just like all the time, whenever you see Pastrnak score, it's from like holy words are hard today.
It's okay.
Marchand Bergeron, and they always seem to be correlated, even though they're going against Pajot, who's pretty good defensively, if I remember correctly, just in the past couple seasons. I know he was a lot better on Ottawa, and he's kind of sheltered here, playing third line minutes in the Islanders. I think that they're matchup proof, and they're always a good option. But outside of that, I'm not too interested in any of the D. McAvoy is way too expensive for me for somebody that, like Mike said, doesn't shoot and block. Halak, I think, is a good option. He's going to see some shots from the Islanders tonight. And 8K, I think, is a solid price, implying that Boston will get the win here. And on the other side, I like Varlamov as well. He's been solid as of late, even though that's kind of contradicting, saying that I like both goalies. But he's definitely going to see some shots from Boston. But like Mike said, you just kind of have to be careful that Boston could explode and put 3 or 4 in. But the Islanders are typically good at just creating low event games. So I think you're pretty safe with Varlamov there.
Yep. Besser, Eichel, Riddick, or Rene to stream tonight. Probably Rene because it's Detroit. Justin's asking for a team with an easy win. I would say, Nashville probably, because Detroit's just a mess. How about that Zook guy? Yeah, Zook's been great. I'm really shocked he had 2 points against. I'm just shocked about the outcome of that game in general. But Pettersson for O'Reilly and Farabee, I would keep Pettersson. Pettersson side wins for me. I think Farabee's so overrated. I have Barkov, Barzal, Bergie. Need to bench one. Barzal. You have to start Bergeron and Barkov. Thanks for all the fantasy help, guys. I'm definitely keeping Suzuki for now. What do you think of Burns for Weber in Cats? If there's plus minus in your league, Weber's definitely going to win, but I do think Burns is a better shot and block guy. It's close, but I would still say Burns wins. Suzuki or Fiala? Fiala. Yeah, Fiala. It's pretty close, though. Weber over Burns. Do you think Halak will do better for me than Oshie in a points league? Tonight? Or, season long? Brazil hasn't put up a point the last 3 to 4 games. I think he's due tonight. Sit 2, play 2. Ehlers, Wheeler, Palat, Matt Tkachuk. Wheeler and Matt Tkachuk, I would start. Barzal for the win. All right. So, Jersey, Buffalo. This is an interesting game tonight as well. I like the Buffalo side quite a bit more than the Jersey side tonight. And the biggest thing I want to note here is that Jersey has a 60% penalty kill going against a Buffalo team that has a 33% power play. And you get this top line here at 17.5. They are a little pricey, but Eichel's been kind of bad, and a lot of people have mentioned it. And this is a perfect matchup for him to turn it around. Blackwood's save percentage 5-on-5 is extremely inflated this year. It's like 950, I think. 5-on-5, but on the penalty kill, he's one of the worst goaltenders in the league. So definitely have some interest in Buffalo 1 tonight. Sorry, someone just turned the lights off while I'm streaming, but it's fine. So yeah, I'm on the Buffalo side tonight. I don't have too much love for Jersey. Buffalo's actually been pretty good. They don't take too many penalties. Allmark's actually been solid this season, and he's been good dating back to last year as well. But Jersey does have a lot of good value plays tonight. Their top line is 11-2, and they're going to see about 18 minutes each tonight. So, if you're getting 3 players at, one guy's 4,100, but 2 guys under 4K on the top line, I think you're fine going there. But I'm definitely more inclined to take a line 2 tonight. I just think the Palmieri-Hughes combo, they've just been really good together. And that's what I want to see from a line. On the defensive side, if I'm going anywhere, it's going to be Severson. I think he's fine at 4,200. I also don't mind Blackwood. He's probably one of the better one-off goaltenders in the tonight at 7,200, but he is going to garner a bunch of ownership. And that just means it's a leverage player on the Buffalo side. If Blackwood's going to get 15-20% tonight, and you take Buffalo and they go off, you're instantly canceling out 20% of the lines. But this Buffalo 1 line is getting 0 ownership. I think it's a favorable spot for them. I'm on them. I'm on Dahlin too. He's shooting a ton, way more than what we've seen in his career, which is a very good thing. Shots correlate a lot with goals and point production, and that's something I've found since I've started this channel. So I'm okay taking Buffalo 1 with Dahlin. I'm okay taking Buffalo 1 and substituting Reinhart for Hall if you want. I think Hall has an opportunity to score tonight as well. He's someone that really needs to get it going. He's at a 2% shooting percentage right now. 2%. So definitely give me some Taylor Hall and Buffalo 1 tonight.
Yeah, this game, last game, it was bizarre because 2 games ago when these 2 teams played, it was super low event. I was actually watching the game. I think it was a matinee, and both teams were just so sloppy. Like, I've never seen such bad hockey in my life. But last game was crazy because New Jersey had 42 shots. I'm pretty sure you took Allmark that night, right? 41 saves.
Yeah, 41 saves, and he let in a goal with 30 seconds left in the game. I think Gusev scored.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, Buffalo had 37 shots as well. So just a lot of shots seem to be getting through here. I think there's, like Mike said, good value on New Jersey side. A lot of the times they get overlooked, but Jack Hughes has been great this season, and pairing him with Palmieri, are they really on separate power plays?
Yeah, from what we have here, yeah. I can look into it though as you're talking.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because I really like that combination of Jack Hughes just being like looking like an elite playmaker, like he was poised to be in his draft here, and then Palmieri is definitely the trigger man on New Jersey if you have to give that tag to anybody. But I think there's good value in that second line. Even the first line's kind of cheap, but I definitely am not as inclined to go to them just because Heischer's just starting to get back in the lineup and just getting his legs back.
Yep.
When I was watching him that other game, he looked like he was just absolutely gassed and dying for the majority of the time that he was on the ice. So give him a couple games to get back into form here, but definitely something to keep an eye on. Subban also had 5 shots last game as well. He unfortunately is seeing power play 2 time, which I'm not a fan of. But Ty Smith is a good kind of D in no man's land there for 3,800, getting power play 1 time. Both these teams saw 2 power plays last game as well, so Buffalo was able to capitalize, and I definitely think that if there's a game where that first line for Buffalo is able to go off, it's definitely this one against New Jersey. Even though Blackwood's in net and he's been great as of late, I think that there's a lot of upside with that Eichel line, and Eichel has to get going, man. Same thing with Hall. Like, something's got to give for this Buffalo team. I would be even more on this team if Hall was up on the top line with Eichel, but unfortunately they're split. So I think that it's fine going with Eichel, and like Mike said, you can always substitute Hall in for one of the other wingers if you're not comfortable with their pricing. I think that's fine paying up for Hall there still. And then Dahlin for 4,900. I think if you pair him with either of your first or second line there, I'd probably be more inclined to go with the first line, but he's been shooting a bunch as well, and this is a guy that we've been on kind of throughout the season, and he's just now starting to put up those points that we would hope to see a little earlier. But I like Buffalo tonight as well. I think they're a good spot.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so Nashville, Detroit. This is a game that I have a lot more interest in than I did before the slate. Sometimes I just don't like targeting Detroit just because of the ownership. Like, I feel like everyone going against Detroit is just super inflated, their ownership. But we did some digging before the slate started. It looks like this Nashville 1 line is going against Mark Stahl and John Merrill, who have one of the worst defensive numbers I've ever seen by a defensive pairing. And they're facing off against the Adam Ernie, Luke Glendening, and I can't remember Matthias Brome line, who all are just terrible 5-on-5. I think Nashville 1 is in a really, really good spot tonight. You got Granlund playing center for one of the first times in his career, and that's kind of the only knock on this first line. But I do think they have 2 competent, high shot volume players with Forsberg and Arvidsson. Arvidsson's one of the highest shot volume players in the league. So those are guys that are just going to be taking a lot of opportunities tonight. We have Bernier starting. I think it's going to be Greiss tonight, who is a little bit worse than Bernier. You see, Bernier was actually good last game. Remember you were really surprised when I said that he's good? Yeah, he was good again last game.
Oh. I was going to say an outlier performance just based off what I've seen from him, but... Yeah,
he was good last year, too.
That's bizarre. I would have thought that Greiss would have kind of snuck under the radar as getting that starting spot, but if Bernier's been good, then again, something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Because Nashville hasn't been great either.
No, they've been brutal. But you can see here their shot attempts against are pretty low, actually. But yeah, they've been... That 70% penalty kills is what's really killing them right now. And that's what we saw again in that Dallas game where they scored 6 power play goals, and out of their 7 goals, it was crazy. Definitely like Nashville 1 tonight. I do think Eli Tolvanen is a solid one-off play at min price on power play 1 tonight. And you could easily do a Forsberg, Granlund, Arvidsson, Tolvanen 4-man and still pay up for some really expensive lines. So don't mind Tolvanen at all as a one-off. On the defensive side, Yossi, always a really good play. Had 5 shots, a couple assists last game against Detroit. Should probably see that again tonight. Rene at 8,100's okay. Just Detroit doesn't shoot the puck a lot, and Nashville doesn't really give up a lot of shots. So he's in line for the win, absolutely, and I get it. I just don't think the shot volume is going to be there for me tonight. And they've been pretty bad defensively. So Detroit side, if I'm going anywhere tonight, it's going to be the first line. Nashville takes a lot of penalties. They have Mantha, Larkin on power play 1, and that's what you kind of want to target against this Nashville team that just struggles on the penalty kill. So if I'm going anywhere tonight, it's going to be Detroit 1, Christian DeJeus, 3,200, power play 1. He's fine. Jonathan Bernier or Greiss, whoever's starting tonight, is a fine punt option at a really low price tag tonight. They're going to see a lot of volume against this Nashville team. and you're kind of just banking on the save bonus for them tonight.
Yeah, so this is an interesting game, I think, just because both teams have been bad, and Nashville is just like teetering on the point of just complete explosion, in my opinion, right now. We've heard a lot of potential trade rumors coming from this team, just because of like how inconsistent they've been. But I definitely think that this is a good opportunity for them to get their confidence back. They also won their last game as well. I believe it was just 2-0 against Detroit.
Yeah.
But again, like a good spot for Nashville. Any team that plays Detroit's in a good spot. They're probably going to see a little bit more ownership than you originally think, just because of the matchup. But I still think that Forsberg, Granlund, Arvidsson line is where you want to go to tonight. If for some reason they're playing against Detroit 4, which is what we saw in terms of the line matching, I think it's an even better play at 5-on-5 as well. And then Yossi, always great under 7K. Like, even when he's over 7K, he's always a DM I'm getting to. Even Ellis's price at 5,400 is good. But Pecorine, 8,100. I think that just implies that he's going to get the win. But I would be careful, just because Detroit could sneak a couple goals in. They have been shaky, the Nashville side, as of late. So just something to keep an eye on. I'd probably look elsewhere. Unless you're like just super confident that Nashville's going to come out on top. They've just been such a shaky team. I'm little on the edge for taking Rene there. And I think that Nashville 3 is a good filler stack, just because you have two guys that are min price, two guys that are on power play 1. And Eli Tolvanen is somebody that I've kind of mentioned in the past as being a good punt option. Mike mentioned it tonight, so you know that it's legit now. He's got the credentials to back it up, I guess you could say. But I think that's a good punt option as well. I like that sneaky play of getting those 4 power play 1 guys together, Mike. I like where your head's at with that. And then just on the Detroit side, I think if you're trying to get away from ownership tonight, especially, I don't see this Detroit 1 line being owned at all. And like I said, Nashville's been shaky, so this could be a really sneaky play if you want to go Larkin, Mantha. Even if you do like a 2-2-2 stack and just get Larkin and Mantha together, I think that's a good option as well. And then Bernier for 7,100. I don't know where I'm at with Detroit's goalies just yet. But I think that I would rather probably just pay for Mackenzie Blackwood at 7,200 against Buffalo than I would Bernier or Grice.
So I'm just looking into this. It looks like that Yarncrow, Duchesne, Grimaldi line has actually been like really strong. But there's not any sample I can find on them. I just want to see if they've played together in the past here quickly. I was just trying to look into their last couple of games. It looks like they've been dominating, but Grimaldi, Yarncrow, actually no, they're not very good. Yeah, might just be a fluky couple games from them, but yeah, definitely like Nashville won a lot tonight. All right, so sure. Canadiens and Winnipeg. So the big news, I think we've had a couple people say it in chat today, is that Claude Julien was fired, or was relieved of his duties, and I can't pronounce the new coach's name. I'm not going to bother. Shouldn't matter too much, but I do think we might see a shakeup in the Montreal lines tonight. So definitely keep an eye on that. But we're kind of just going to go off of what we've seen the last few games, because we obviously have no idea what's going to happen. But from the Montreal side, I'm interested more in Montreal 2 than I am in than Montreal 1 tonight. They've just been doing it for me 5-on-5. They're really cheap tonight. Drouin's price is going down every game. Like, I feel like he was like 4,400, and now as the season's progressing, it's just going lower and lower and lower. But Winnipeg just allows a lot of shots, and Josh Anderson's a guy that shoots the puck quite a bit in some really good spots. So definitely more inclined to take Montreal 2 tonight. I think Montreal 3 is also a pretty solid play at the under 10K price tag. They've been solid 5-on-5. Tatar is the guy that we don't really know if he's going to stay. But if Tatar moves up to that top line, like, their price comes down significantly with Toffoli off of there. And that will probably, if he goes to the top line, they will probably be my favorite line tonight. Just the Toffoli to no Gallagher numbers just haven't been doing it for me 5-on-5. On the defensive side here, Shea Weber. Okay, I saw Devils mention it, but I didn't know if he was just saying that as a joke. But Shea Weber's at 4,800 tonight against a Winnipeg team that is allowing a ton of shots 5-on-5, and that's what you want to see. Devils was all over Weber 2 nights ago. He had 2 goals, the block bonus, and like 5 shots. It was crazy. Like he had like 30 points, and Devils was hyping him up in our Discord. So definitely have some interest in Weber at 4,800. No way, Petrie under 6K for the first time in the last 3 weeks. He was up at like 7K at one point. That was bound to happen anyways, but have some interest in Weber tonight, absolutely. Carey Price, not too much love for him. Montreal just doesn't give up enough shots. So I don't think the volume is going to be there for Carey Price tonight at 7,900. On the Winnipeg side, so we see this Dubois, Wheeler, Scheifele line stay together. Dubois is 3K. They were the nut stack 3 nights ago, and I was all over them. I think I came 7th when I took them. I almost took down the GPP. It was pretty close. So hopefully that helps my credentials a little bit. But Winnipeg won, good spot tonight. They're cheap. You compare them with a lot of top lines. They're going to play the minutes. They have 2 guys on the power play. Montreal has been atrocious on the penalty kill, and they cannot stay out of the box tonight. So if you're giving this Winnipeg 1 line at the 15-6 price tag, 4 power play opportunities, they're going to score. So definitely some love for Winnipeg 1 tonight. I don't mind Winnipeg 2, but if they're matching against this Suzuki, Anderson, Druin line, that's just a really tough matchup to play against 5-on-5. I don't think it's going to be too high event, so more love for the top line and the second line. Defensive side, I like Morrissey over Pionk tonight, just because he skates with the top line, and I'm more intrigued with the top line, so I would rather just pair Morrissey with my Winnipeg 1 stacks because of the correlation play. Connor Hellebuyck tonight, I like him, 7,700. Winnipeg gives up a ton of shots. Montreal's been struggling. If their struggles continue in Montreal and they still are shooting 30-plus times a game, expect me to have quite a bit of Hellebuyck tonight just because of that.
Raybo, if you needed a goalie, see if you can grab Cal Pearson over Jonathan Quick. I just think he's been a little bit more consistent, and he's had great numbers as of late. But believe the Weber hype Devils saying in the chat, and I would argue he's been just as good, if not better, than Petrie has been in the last couple games. Still playing the same amount of minutes, and honestly, like, his shot volume has been kind of nuts in the past 3 games. Over 5 shots in 2 of his last 3. And then last game he had 2 goals, so definitely love him for that price at 4,800. That's kind of crazy to me. So I'm definitely going to get to some of him tonight. But Montreal's been struggling, and Carey Price hasn't looked good. He's under a 900 save percentage right now, and personally, this is something that a channel and I talked about in my chat the other night. I think it's just from Montreal overworking him. I don't think they're using Jake Allen as much as they should be.
Yeah.
And Price is just seemed we talked about the schedule and how it's just impacting all these starting goalies so heavily. Like we saw Gibson, like you said, visibly frustrated the last game.
Mm-hmm.
The schedule is just very difficult, especially on starting goalies that are used to playing like 50 to 60 games. It's just because everything's so condensed, right? So I think if Montreal just starts implementing Jake Allen a little bit more frequently, we'll see Carey Price's numbers come back up to what they normally were. But as of right now, I'm really excited for this Winnipeg 1 line just because of Dubois' price at 3K there. And then you get Scheifele and Wheeler, both power play 1 correlation. I think that's a pretty good play against a struggling Montreal team. And most people are still looking at Montreal as the first 10 games Montreal, like we somebody mentioned in the chat earlier. So I think it's a good look for either of the 2 Winnipeg top 6. I'd probably just go with the first line just because of the price. I think they're a little bit easier to get to. You're not getting Ehlers for 6,800, which is as good as he's been. He's kind of slowed down and come back to earth. I will eat my words on that one, as you've mentioned.
Yep.
But for 6,800, I think that's still an overprice for him. And then I'm still kind of off both Winnipeg D, but Josh Morrissey at 4,300, I think that's a very reasonable price for him, especially playing over 22 minutes on average and getting power play 1 time. I think that's a great spot. And then Connor Hellebuyck, I think, is going to be my goalie that I'm most excited for tonight just because of the Montreal woes.
Yep, the lulls. So Sean asked, Critic mentioned Eichel. He didn't see him in practice. So yeah, he didn't see him in practice, but he is playing tonight. And I think someone posted that in the Discord. Might have been Devils. I traded Horvat for Dahlin points league. Fair trade. Yeah, that's a fair trade. Especially if I think Dahlin's a easy buy low candidate. Hold on the Toivu. Yeah, I would. So many people are off of him. It's crazy. Are the Kings back or just a mirage? I mean, they're not a mirage, but I mean, they need to be starting Cal Peterson every night. I think they're still pretty good.
Honestly.
That top line's sick.
That top line is very underrated.
Oh, yeah, and then the channel, the first line in the goaltending's been great. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Peterson, the next Binnington. I love Peterson. He's so good. Drop Kyrou for Zib. Yeah, like that's not even a question. Why is Zib available? He was like a top 20 pick this year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But if you guys are in the Discord, you know the Zib memes. Tarasenko on IR. Who should I drop for his return? Fiala, Nichas, or Roslovic? Roslovic.
Yeah.
Ducharme? Is that Ducharme? Ducharme. Believe the Weber hype. Yeah, believe. Fiala and Besser for Eichel and Wheeler. Yeah, Eichel and Wheeler, not really that close.
Gurianov for Morrissey? I think that's fine. I think I'll take Morrissey.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone looking for low and banger? Can you pronounce the name that Tori said on Anaheim?
Hakanapa?
Not bad. I think it's Hawk and Paw.
Oh.
Yeah. Rask or Varley long term. Rask is like a top 3 goalie. Like Boston's gonna win a lot of games. So Montreal, Winnipeg might be a good game stack. Yeah, I don't mind that. Will Kyle Connor go back up to the top line? I mean, not until they prove otherwise. Like if they're still buzzing this top line, like don't expect Connor to move up. But I don't think it hurts his value because Stastny and Ehlers are solid. So like that Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler line was the worst defensive line in hockey last year. So Reimer starting tonight. Yep.
We haven't expected. Nothing's confirmed yet, though.
Canada Stamina asking the $1 million question that I just need to go and ask Paul Maurice. Why are you not putting your best puck-moving defenseman on your top power play? I think Maurice is more concerned about stopping the shorthanded goal from happening than scoring the power play goal.
That's hilarious.
Oh, you have a small league, and that's why Zib's available. Makes sense. Carlson for Aho and Svech. It just depends on your it depends on like your defensive situation, right? Like if you have like Carlson, Hedman, Letang, Fox, then you can definitely move Carlson. But you also have to keep in mind that you're going to have to drop someone too, Michael, if you trade for 2 players. So just let me know about that. Let me know how your D are and let me know who you're going to have to drop to roster both players. But I do think it's a good trade. All right. So Edmonton, Vancouver, the final game of the night, the game that is going to ruin the slate for everybody because Mr. Connor McDavid's on it. He is the Draftkings kryptonite. And what am I going to do with him tonight, Clarky?
You're going to fade him, Mike.
I'm going to fade Edmonton 1 tonight at the $22K price tag. I think it handcuffs you way too much. Vancouver has actually kind of figured it out defensively, to my surprise. But if you guys are playing tonight, definitely don't fade Edmonton. Don't be a maniac like me if you're playing multiple lineups. Vancouver's taking way too many penalties per game. They cannot stay out of the box, and that's the worst thing against an Edmonton team who time and time again has had just an amazing power play. So, I mean, they're a good luck tonight, but I just think I'd rather go with the value plays, and we'll get to the Vancouver side. But line 2 tonight, not too much interest from me. I do think it's sort of favorable against Vancouver too, but they've tightened it up defensively, Vancouver too. So not too much love for Edmonton 2 tonight. Defensive side, Darnell Nurse it was Jones that played 30 minutes last night, but Nurse is playing so many minutes. His peripherals are there. He's scoring. He's getting assists. He's just been great this season. So I think if you need to pay up, I would rather just go to Yossi for 500 more. But if you don't have that flexibility in your salary, I think you're fine going to Nurse. Probably be a little bit lower owned than Yossi tonight. Evan Bouchard, really bad play at 4,600. He plays 8 minutes a night. So Mike Smith at 8,100 doesn't make any sense to me at all. The only sense it does make is that Edmonton does give up a ton of shots, but I'm going to talk about Vancouver right now quickly. So this second line, Miller, Pettersson, Besser, is going against the Cahoon Draisaitl Yamamoto line, who with at least a 100-minute sample is the number one worst defensive line in hockey. So they have a 307 expected goals against per 60. Assuming the line plays 20 minutes 5-on-5, that means that they're projected to give up at least a goal per game right now, that just can't happen. Edmonton's given up way too many shots. All three of these players on the Vancouver 2 line have a really good shooting talent. That's a stat that Money Puck has been using, that we've been kind of looking into, that just defines a player's talent when they shoot the puck. So the higher shooting talent, obviously, the better, where you see Pastrnak, Weber, Matthews, like those players at the top. And Miller, Besser, Pettersson are all up there. So I have a lot of like for Vancouver 2 tonight. They're by far my favorite play. They're priced very good tonight. So give me some Vancouver 2. A lot of them tonight. You're fine to pair them with Quinn Hughes, but Hughes skates with the Vancouver 1 line. Actually, I'm going to confirm that quickly. If Hughes skates with this line, because Vancouver does have the Besser line as line 2. And I know Hughes skates with the second line. So let me look into this quickly.
Yeah, I'll just go over Edmonton real quick. The first line is expensive, but again, it's warranted. We know that Vancouver is trending up in the right direction, though, so that's definitely something that looks a little bit more favorable if you're a Vancouver fan. And another good indication is Mike Smith is in net. So that just gets me even more excited about line 2 for Vancouver. This is something that, especially if they're going, like Mike said, against Edmonton 2, is a really good play. They're all capable of getting 2 or 3 points a night, and I've said in the past that that's a line that can definitely be the nuts no matter what night it is. So I think you're fine to pair Quinn Hughes with either of the top 6 matchups. You're either getting that power play correlation with line 2, or if he skates with the line 1 at 5-on-5, that's always a good option as well. For 5,700, it's a little bit expensive for me, but I think it's okay. And you're kind of getting away from the Edmonton ownership, which is something that I like. But like Mike said, if you guys are doing MME, or if you're doing more than 3 lineups, you absolutely 100% have to get to this Edmonton 1 line. They've just been too good lately. McDavid is just on an absolute tear. And yeah, definitely look to pair Tyson Barrie with them. I'm kind of off of the Edmonton D right now, just because I think they're a little bit too overpriced for me. I think Nurse is definitely the better option between the two, unless you're just super keen on taking Barrie and hoping that McDavid and Nuge just kind of go off on the power play. He just always seems to be involved on the power play, but I'd rather go with somebody that just has a higher floor, and he's 100 cheaper. So not touching Evan Bouchard, not touching Adam Larson. Actually, Adam Larson is not bad for 4,100, but I think I'd just rather go with another cheaper D. Definitely not touching Mike Smith, and I'm super excited, hoping that Vancouver 2 goes off tonight. I'm definitely on them as well. I think they're a great play. And then Vancouver 3 is my hidden gem tonight. We did some digging, and look at just the matchup. You can kind of see the expected goals for and against numbers there, matching up against Edmonton's third line. And for a line that is 7,800, all you're looking for is just a full line goal. Even if Gaudette gets like a point or something on the power play, I think you're pretty happy just based off of the price. It allows you to just get some higher end D with your stacks. And they have a really good matchup against Edmonton 3.
Yeah, and I just want to mention last game, the Roussel Suter Gaudette line, and I don't know if Ray's in chat, but he was saying that I was telling everyone to take Vancouver. So last game, that Vancouver third line, 12 scoring chances for, 4 against. So the most scoring, they had 1 less scoring chance than the Miller and Horvat line combined. They had 13 together. So, and someone mentioned in chat that the lines are different. Going off of last game, the lines they stuck together like what we're seeing right now. And Daily Faceoff also has this line. So, Tyler, I'm not sure where you saw that Miller's on the third line, but I'm just curious to where you saw that information. He has Höglander, Pettersson. Yeah, I don't see that anywhere, Tyler. Daily Faceoff doesn't have it. Last game, they were all together. And I think Vancouver won last game, no? No, they lost by 1. So yeah, I'm not seeing that anywhere. Can anyone else get confirmation on those lines?
Pettersson, Miller, Pettersson were together for 23% of the time. So it was the second highest. So I didn't see anything.
Yeah. Also, something to note, guys, for this Vancouver second line, they match up against Adam Larson and who was the other defenseman? How come I can't remember?
It wasn't Bouchard. It was.
Where's Edmonton here? I'll get it in 1 second. Oh, Larson and Chris Russell, and they are terrible 5-on-5. And I know Larson blocks shots, and I get it. So does Russell, but
Yeah.
It's just a very favorable 5-on-5 matchup for this second line tonight. Anyways, guys, so before we go, we have definitely a couple things to go over quickly here. So your favorite line tonight, Mr. Chris Charlton. Mine's pretty obvious. I just talked about him a lot. So
Yeah, Vancouver 2 just looks like such a favorable matchup. But if I want to go a little bit off the board here, I'm gonna say Winnipeg 1.
So one second, I'm just reading. I'm not even seeing it on Thomas Drance's, Tyler.
You looking at his Twitter right now?
Yeah, 21 hours ago. Travis Geens sees your criticism to Stu Miller and wants fan. Yeah, he's right. So opening drill at practice, Höglander, Pettersson, Besser, Pearson, Horvat, Virtanen, Miller, Suter, Gaudette. So Höglander might be up on the top line. He's right. So definitely...
even Höglander, Pettersson, Besser is a line I can get behind. We know Höglander is really good defensively.
Yeah. All right. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. Tyler, I really appreciate it. Sorry for I'm not trying to call you out. I couldn't see it anywhere, but I appreciate you shouting that out because that's really important to know tonight. All right. So my favorite line, Vancouver 2, even with Höglander there, he brings the price down and they're on a really good matchup against this terrible Draisaitl line. So give me some of him. Favorite defenseman tonight?
My favorite defenseman tonight, 9 out of 10 times I say Roman Josi, but just because of Shea Weber's price, I'm going to go with Weber for 4,800.
Weber's the best priced defenseman on the slate tonight. But to get different from you, I'm going to go with Dahlin, someone that's been shooting a lot, and I think we'll have some success on the power play tonight against this terrible Devils penalty kill. All right, guys, so... I know Devils has been sitting in here in the bushes waiting to get his tires pumped a little bit by me, but we got the first hat-trick prediction of the year, and it was no surprise, Devils for Cup. Chris Kreider, he predicted yesterday. And, I'm sure people are wondering what the compensation of it is. Originally, it was going to be bragging rights, but in the Discord, we gave him the GOAT status, so you guys will see that tag under him. But new slate tonight. Will Devils do it back-to-back? If he does, man, Devils, if you're not buying lottery tickets right now, I don't know what you're doing. So, boys, everyone, toss in your hat-trick predictions tonight. It's a fresh slate, and we'll muster up ours. Actually, I guess I can go through this as we go. We had only 4 people guess a goal last night. JVR, Kadri, and Kreider. That's it. But a lot of good nights with shots and assists. How do we submit a hat-trick pick? Just write in the chat.
Yeah, just give us your pick here.
Yep.
Couple Lyonnais. That's not surprising after he had 2 goals last game. Even on the power play, he's always poised for a couple goals a game.
Okay, everyone say Draisaitl.
Ever just put Draisaitl for everyone.
Wow, the Höglander pick.
Ooh.
Oh, the first Brock Besser. I think we're going to see more.
Braden Point. Justin going with DeBrincat, even though he said earlier that I think Besser was going to be his pick.
Going against the chalk.
Gotta get away from that ownership.
JT Miller, prove it night.
Yep, there it is.
Like
Evan,
a low
there's my
message.
hat-trick pick. Don't at me.
Justin. Braden Point with an emphasis on the point. So he knows where it's at. No, you're not going with Brett Kulak. No. We can't have that. Dude, Brett Kulak gets a hat trick tonight. I don't even know. I don't even know what's gonna happen.
Couple Dubois picks.
Dude,
here.
Bjorkstrand's sneaky tonight. I like Olofsson, the power play.
Yep, definitely an option.
Rabo, McDavid as well. No, Milan Lucic, guys.
What?
Dude, it's so funny. I love it. I love you guys going to the box. Torrey with Patty Kane. So we're going. Greg's going with Lankinen for a hat trick tonight.
Okay.
Goaltender Hattie.
Not even starting.
Oh, this is our most submissions we've ever had.
There's a lot today.
Yeah, you guys are buzzing. I love it. Eichel.
Let me check.
Yeah,
the ownership so far. Laine's got a couple. McDavid's got a couple. Couple points.
P. Kane.
Blah. I think I saw DeBrincat as well.
Oh, Bio Armor. What's up, Bio? Ovechkin.
How's it going, man?
The most likely goal scorer, probably.
Yeah, honestly.
He had a really good point.
That has
Oh,
the highest percent chance.
All right. What's up, tribe? Dude, this is the most.
Guys, just a reminder, if you don't like the video, your hat-trick submission doesn't count.
Oh,
is my cam frozen?
I got it. I got it. You're good.
I hate to see it. Okay, sweet.
I fixed it. Just something with OBS. All right, is that all the submissions? Why, Gabriel, did you have 2 picks? No. Yeah, you're good. You just said Patty Kane.
I'm chilling, dude.
All right. Clarky.
So, I'm going with somebody who's struggled, to say the least, in the season, who I think is just going to have a really good night tonight. Especially, I'm actually really excited to see him on this new line. I think he's going to get a lot of looks. He doesn't have to worry about his defensive aspect of the game too much anymore now that he's playing with Hoglander. I'm going to go with Elias Pettersson.
Wow. Good spot for him tonight. No one took him. I'm going to go...
Gotta get away from that ownership.
I'm going to go with my boy, expected goal machine. One of my favorite fantasy players. He has been carrying my keeper league right now. Mr. Brady Tkachuk.
Oh.
He has been absolutely putting the team on his back in my league. He gets like 9 hits and 9 shots a night. It's nuts. He has
like that in the Rittich back-to-back too.
Yeah.
It's a good look.
All right, boys. So thanks everyone for tuning in once again. 37 likes today. Probably is one of our highest we've ever had on stream. So I appreciate you guys helping us out. Follow us on Twitter at @fantasy_puck. If you guys want access to our Google Doc, our awesome trade analyzer where you can just type in names and it tells you which side is better. All of our projections and everything's all available over on our Patreon. Get in the Discord, guys. I hope that most of you guys are in here. I'm recognizing quite a few of your names. So if you guys are in the Discord, definitely join. We've had a lot of success in the DraftKings chat. If you guys are playing DraftKings, Devils has been buzzing. He's been giving everyone some really good picks aside from us. So I really appreciate that. Clarky, any closing notes?
Yeah, guys, we're always trying to provide you with the most amount of value. As you can see, we've added the power play penalty kill stats, as well as the shot totals for and against, in terms of just like overall matchups for goalies. So as always, we're trying to provide you guys with the most amount of value. So definitely, if you're interested in that and you're interested in our kind of DFS sheet here, as well as our season long projections, definitely check out our Patreon. Like you said, we're giving you guys all the value possible. And Mike and all of the FP guys do a lot of hard work to get you guys all these numbers and everything, so you guys can just absolutely blow out your competition in season-long fantasy. But other than that, thanks to Mike for having me on again. Always a good time chatting with you guys, and the community is growing as well. We're at 42 likes right now. Love that support, guys. And
thanks, everyone.
Let's make some money tonight. I'm excited. It's a big slate.
Absolutely. Just letting you guys know, I'm going out of town this weekend, so we won't be streaming until Tuesday of next week. But I'm going to have my buy low, sell high out tonight. I know a lot of you guys like that. So yeah, we'll be active in the Discord, but we won't be streaming for 4 days, but we will be back on the grind next week. I'm fired up. Have a lot of awesome people in here. So thanks everyone for tuning in once again, and we will see you on Tuesday. Expect a good video tonight. So